Well, hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mike, and I'm here with my brother Dan.
Hello.
And we are talking television. That's right. We've come all the way through season 1 of The West Wing, Dan. It's upon us. We're going to have a lot of fun today. Come with us. Let's pull some big ideas off the small screen. This is Rerun Retrospect. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. This is Rerun Retrospect, and Dan, we're finally here. We're at the finale of season 1, all the way through 22 episodes of television.
We got there.
It's a lot of stuff.
We got
did.
there.
We finally did. Yeah, and through a lot, through loving characters, hating some characters, technical issues, all the stuff we've dealt with. It's good to be here at the season 1 finale. And again, this is season 1, episode 2. I'll give you the tale of the tape. It is titled, What Kind of Day Has It Been? This was directed by Thomas Schlamme. It's written by Aaron Sorkin, starring the great cast here of The West Wing. To bring some method to the madness, we do always break our show up into segments. The first one is State of the Union. In State of the Union, we like to bring a little context for what was happening in the world when the episode aired originally. And then we also give a little synopsis. Our synopsis is just straight. We read it directly off the IMDb website. We'll put the link to that site there in our show notes. Dan, this aired on May the 17th in 2000, and I'm going to give you two things that were kind of cool that happened in the month of May. It didn't happen exactly on the 17th, but it happens around there. And the first one has to do with the movie, and one has to do with the sports thing. So we'll do the sports things first. Every once in a while we like to do the sports things. But in May of 2000, Barry Bonds was the very first player to hit a home run into the Bay there in San Francisco. And so that's kind of a big popular thing. I mean, throughout the years, you know, people would be out there in kayaks and boats and everything trying to get.
I've been to that. That's one of the few MLB stadiums I've been to. I've been there. It's a great stadium. Cool. Great place to go watch.
Did you go swimming?
No, I wasn't in the kayak.
Get in a kayak
I was in the stands. Okay. It's a great place to see.
We'll add that to the bucket list. Maybe we should do that later. What I don't know is how many people who were not chemically advanced have hit a baseball into the Bay.
So remember, thinking about what happened. That's when baseball was doing the whole juicing thing. Yeah, McGuire and Bonds. I remember that.
Me and my friends, we called it Robo-Ball. It seemed like everybody was had some accentuation helping them play baseball. But anyway, and then the other thing, we had the premiere of a well-loved movie starring Russell Crowe. You know what movie I'm talking about?
I'm going to guess Gladiator. Am I right? No, Gladiator might have been before that. Is it Gladiator?
It was 100% Gladiator.
Oh, cool.
And surprisingly enough, I mean, I enjoy, period pieces and movies like that or whatever. I just personally wasn't the hugest Gladiator fan. I don't know why. Maybe it got hyped up. Sometimes things get hyped up too much.
Are you not entertained?
I honestly think I had such high expectations that the movie never had a chance with me because so many of my friends just were saying this is the best one I've ever seen and all that kind of stuff. And it just didn't quite get there for me. So my dislike for it probably really isn't warranted, but I also think the hype that the people around me were giving it were probably. So I worry about that with you. Sometimes when I talk television shows, I'm like, I don't know that this show can live up to how much.
Yeah, the best shows are the ones you don't have any expectations for. So I could totally see that. Right. You had high expectations. It didn't pull through, and you.
The thumb! It's a throwback.
There's another Gladiator reference.
Oh, it's true. That's true. Okay, Dan, why don't you give us a synopsis of this finale? Just reading there off the website.
All right, this is courtesy of Tim Dalton 007.
Yeah, he's written a few.
It's 007, but I think he's saying 007. A stealth fighter is shot down over Iraq, leading to Bartlett ordering a military rescue as Toby worries about his brother trapped in a space shuttle orbiting the Earth. CJ deals with the ramifications of misleading the press about the rescue of the staff. About the rescue as the staff prepares for a town hall meeting that night. The town hall meeting goes well until the president leaves and shots ring out.
Yeah, okay, so that closes down State of the Union.
And they certainly do.
Moves us to the next segment, which is the filibusters, where Dan and I talk about what we liked and what we didn't like about the show. And Dan, there's been a pretty big build-up coming to this finale. You and I have been talking as the end of season 1 kind of draws to a close. There was a lot of expectation, I think. Specifically, I'd say that you kind of went into with this finale. And that I'll be honest, I was kind of surprising, right? We left the last episode really thinking that this whole I'm just going to start the conversation off with this. The whole Sam and Lori thing has, we're going to find out what are the political ramifications.
Not addressed at all.
No, just not there. Just, hey, that's old news. That's old news.
Just not addressed at all. It didn't even happen.
I know, and I have known.
But I will say, because we read the review and it says shots ring out, I will say they made Bartlett's daughter, her guard was very evident right at the beginning. So I did think something was going to happen. I thought it was going to be specific to either her, meaning the guard, the Secret Service woman, or his daughter. I had no idea there was just going to be a random shoot out the window.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Pretty good lead up there. Well, but I will say this. I'm thinking back. You kind of have the whole golden age of television that's going to happen in the mid 2000s. You had I think The Sopranos probably really changed how everybody viewed television. We've talked about how relevant The West Wing is to politically what happens in the late 2010s and going into the 2020s. I think from an entertainment standpoint, it is a little bit dated because television's just gotten better at closing down their seasons than really this. Not that this episode wasn't entertaining, but you're right. It is almost a standalone episode. It doesn't really continue. I mean, I guess we are kind of seeing the extension of the Charlie and Zoe relationship. We're seeing that just a little bit maybe, but for the most part, this is completely compartmentalized. Even though it is very dramatic and 100% we're left on a cliffhanger. I totally understand that. But just with everything, other than the fact that these are the characters we love, there's no carryover from the storylines that have been going through multiple episodes in this season. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, for 21 previous episodes, really, yeah, I'd agree. Charlie and Zoe are kind of the only one they keep pressing. Maybe Danny and CJ.
Sure.
And perhaps Leo. I think I want to bring him up in a bit. But, those two, Charlie and Zoe, are the big continuation of a story. Otherwise, everything kind of gets...
Sure.
Even with... there's that interaction with the vice president. It doesn't push that character at all. They just go on a jog, and it's all right.
Sure, that's kind of a carryover. I mean, I think we are seeing, I guess, some of the stresses in certain relationships. I mean, at one point, CJ just absolutely smacks Danny in the head. Not like a little tap. I mean, she's like, "Wha-pow!" and just. That was one of the. It's funny. I'll get personal here for a second, but one of the very first rough arguments that me and my wife had early on in the marriage, we were at a restaurant. She playfully hit me over the head with a menu, and I just thought that was I think I was embarrassed, and it was out in front of everybody, and we had to learn to be able to read each other a little better after all that. But Danny does a great job of getting absolutely whacked in the head and then having this little conversation.
He just gets whacked. CJ. She goes right by and just slams him. Doesn't she say come to my office, or she's getting his attention to go talk about?
Well, yeah, they're at the town hall, but she's going to give him it's when she pulls him over to give him the heads up about what's going to happen with the whole NASA story. So we're seeing that you're right. We do kind of see an extension of the relationship, the stressed relationship that the staff kind of has with the vice president. That scene was hard for me to follow with Josh and the vice president, because Josh Lyman, both, you were a college athlete, you were a college runner. I was a successful high school runner, even though I didn't run in college. Wow, it's hard to watch Josh Lyman run. I'm just like, oh wow, that's an overstride. Oh wow, your whole body is swimming. That is so much wasted energy, Josh. No wonder you hate going on jogging meetings. It must be exhausting for you to run half a mile, because his whole body is just going absolutely crazy. And so I have to, every time it starts, even though I know it's coming, I sit there and I'm like, I can hear our high school coaches now screaming at us for everything that's wrong.
Yeah,
in the way that Josh
your
runs.
hands where they have to be, all that
right,
stuff.
Right.
Not Josh. He's just running with the vice president.
Yeah. And the extension of that too, I think, is the way that they held with Leo talking to Josh specifically about what he said at that meeting, when he's trying to politicize the fact that they're going to have to go and rescue this pilot, and if they do get him back safe, the political, capital that they kind of gain with that, and how they'll get a bump in their numbers, and I thought that was a very very good issue to see how two people who know each other well work through a very significant disagreement and how things go. And then the comic relief that is, Josh thinking that Leo wants to give him a hug, took a very serious situation, and they did a great job of making that feel closed and okay, we can move on from it now. All right, what else did you notice in this episode?
But I since you brought up Leo, I will say this is yet another episode where I don't identify with Leo as much, and I've started liking him less. And part of it is what you just said with Josh with the hug thing. I mean, it's comic relief, whatever. But he was also condescending to CJ yet again. It's not the first time he's been that way. And so is Bartlett. So I was wondering, did you think Leo and Bartlett,
what
they're still condescending to CJ?
When were the issue? Specifically, what are you talking about? When how were they both condescending to CJ? Because I don't. It just doesn't jump out to me. I don't remember specific situation.
Oh yeah, he was condescending because she was telling him the pitcher was going to be in the water or whatever, and he kept bringing it up, and it's she's doing her job. She's trying to make you look good for the press. And then the Leo thing, I don't remember the exact situation in the episode, but I thought that they both were condescending to CJ again.
Sometimes there's a difference between being condescending and being sarcastic. So in Bartlett's case, I feel like he's being sarcastic because, obviously they're evaluating every little thing, and he's getting, he's being sarcastic by saying, how does this, how does the water in the pitcher actually get in the glass? Because they are going over every minuscule thing.
Yeah,
Should I wear my jacket? Should I not wear my jacket? And just all that, all that craziness. I'm not surprised that Leo, that's the kind of way that Leo leads. He kind of, it's funny because you definitely have the majority of the group kind of has that northeastern United States kind of edge to them. But Leo, specifically his character, is kind of from the south side of Chicago. But he uses sarcasm the way that I think that the people in New England and the Northeast, they use sarcasm in there. So I think sometimes he's dealing with CJ not in a condescending way, even though I agree with you wholeheartedly. It comes off that way. We talked about that in the last episode, just how he just didn't really come off. So I can kind of see that. I did like the callback to previous episodes. Charlie getting excited about Bartlett using his line in the town hall, and him reminding Josh that when in Charlie's first episode, Josh told him it doesn't stop feeling this way. And the callback to that, here at the finale of season 1, I found that to be good. I always like it when whether it's a season finale or even a series finale, I think it's important to revisit some of those key moments that drew us into whatever the show is. And it seems like they did that a little bit here.
All right. The hand thing, where they did the signal. I got a little confused at one
This
point.
means something good's happened. This
I
means
didn't
something bad's
know if
happened.
they were talking about the stealth fighter pilot who had been saved in Iraq, or if they were talking about Toby's brother. Did I just totally misread the episode? Because I've watched it twice.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure which one they were talking about when they did the motion.
Yeah. No, I mean, but see, I feel like they did that intentionally because of the way. I mean, this is nonlinear storytelling, right? Because we kind of see the beginning of the first, which and there's part of the conversation that I would tell you that I don't know that the shooting was necessarily. I mean, maybe the specifics of the shooting were surprising, but they literally told us, up front, Gina, the Secret Service agent, looks up and has this crazy face, and then we go into the opening. I kind of knew that it was going to be something safety related, right? I guess you don't know if they're actually going to be able to pull it off, and actually shoot people and all that kind of stuff. We see all that interaction in the beginning where they're using that signal, and then as we see the story, it's always in relation to the pilot. I think that it's a little bit of a twist when we get to find out at the end that the pilot situation had already been resolved, and they transitioned that signal to now be about NASA and now be about Toby's brother. And so yeah, I can definitely see how that'd be a little confusing, but I think it was just one of their ways to kind of give another surprise at the end.
But it was about Toby's brother, is what you're saying. Like in the end, it was about Toby's brother.
Well, yes. When they're actually doing it, they're talking about it, even though when they made the sign, they were talking about it in relation to the pilot. Yeah. I just like to bring this up. I totally don't have any problem at all with CJ lying to the press. I mean, she talks about we're gonna pay the price for for telling this lie or whatever. Not that she was against doing it. She's just trying to make sure they get all their bases covered. And I agree with her. Who freaking cares? I mean, that's one. I don't understand people who kind of want our government. And I mean, I understand you don't want the government doing a ton of stuff in secrecy and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to security actions and the military and all that kind of stuff, I 100% agree that it's completely fine for them to even be misleading, knowing that the enemy's probably watching CNN and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. They keep bringing up CNN in that episode.
Yeah.
Don't they? Yeah. But CJ's just, she's been continually to me from the start, a likable character. I've gone back and forth on Toby, although I think after watching the first season, Toby is probably my favorite character, even though initially when he came out, I wasn't the biggest fan.
I'm so proud, especially the way that this whole thing started. Where I mean, you were fully Team Josh, and I'm just saying that it warms me to know that you're with me here on Team Toby. You did good today. I'm just saying there's a way to be a person, and you got there. Eventually, you absolutely got there. That's awesome.
Yeah, I did. It took some time. Just a few other points I have, and please jump in if you have something else. One of my running themes is I'm tired of West Wing, which was started in 1999, talking about politics and still being relevant today. And they did the whole healthcare thing. Like they mentioned healthcare and affordability. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 2021 and 19.
Yeah.
Well, this is 2000 when this aired, but I'm like, gosh,
sure.
I can't wait to watch the episodes after 9/11 because I'm sure they change. I don't know. The other thing I want to say about the shooting is
when we get there,
that has to be the worst Secret Service ever. So here you have these guys who are like on the 4th floor where the president's coming out. And they just had a bunch of handguns and one bald guy who was signaling to them it's okay to shoot. I don't know what his significance really was. The one who was caught by Zoe's bodyguard. But
right.
I'm thinking, that they've got to be the worst Secret Service ever. And I will say, in our lifetime, that's not something we've ever contemplated or dealt with. Kennedy was the last president assassinated, and Reagan was shot in my lifetime, or both of our lifetimes, but I mean, obviously I was a
Right.
child, an infant when that happened. And so I guess that's why it was strange to me that that's where they went to in this episode, because you finish, there's been shots fired, and I think even the last line is like, who's been hit? It's like a police officer on the radio. And I'm like, that's not, and this is still 20 years old. That's just not something we've ever had to deal with or think about. We just assume.
I mean, thankfully, no matter, I mean, obviously, no matter how you align yourself politically, and maybe it's surprising because we do feel like we're in a society that is extremely polarized, and it seems like in those atmospheres, more people could allow themselves to go down extreme situations, and God forbid do something like that. But I mean, I think we're fortunate, and maybe the Secret Services has gotten really good at doing what they do. And you know, because I guarantee, I don't know if I should say that. I don't want to guarantee. It would not surprise me if there have been failed attempts that were thwarted, just because we do live in such a polarized society and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I mean, that's when you think about just that job, you know, and what the Secret Service is tasked with doing. I mean, you know, heads up, all of our first responders, anybody whose life's work is dedicated to responding to those who need them or protecting those around them, then you know, they get nothing but respect from me. You know, I'm sleeping fine tonight.
I think, but I will go back to, that's why I didn't see that coming. I did not see the end of the episode coming. That when you know, everything went down for the cliffhanger at the end, I didn't see it coming. I thought Zoe was going to be kidnapped, or I thought just, I thought the Secret Service agent was going to die. That's why she was like prominent early in the episode.
Right.
Did not see the shooting stuff.
And then that's good. I mean, that's what you want. That's what you want from a season finale, right?
Yeah. I'm ready to watch. I'm ready to watch the next season.
Okay, now earlier I think it was a few episodes ago, a couple of our shows ago, we've talked over and over and over again about Mandy. We got a little bit of Mandy in the finale. I think she talks to Bartlett while they're practicing in the Roosevelt room and all that kind of stuff. And because we specifically said, you know, if we're honest, maybe this conversation should be more a season 2 conversation. But I can just tell you right now, we're not really spoiling anything. And as much as the Jackal is a West Wing staple and like just an absolute institution, there's something else that's an institution for West Wing fans, and it's called going to Mandyville. So you and I have talked a lot about not liking the character. We both agree that, I mean, unless you would have changed your mind at some point, that Moira Kelly doesn't.
No, that press conference did not change my mind. No.
Yeah. Moira Kelly doesn't do a bad job with the character. It really feels like the failure's probably in the writing. First off, you're up against some really well developed characters that, you know, just have very compelling things going on with them. And Mandy just never gets these opportunities. She always tends to be annoying, condescending. She's a little bit of an outsider looking in, and the chip on her shoulder, you just don't know if it's whatever. And I think that was realized, you know, I think even as Sorkin is writing this, he's realizing as he's getting, you know, watching the show come back and everything, that the character is just not working. They really, in the beginning, they're really kind of pushing like there's going to be this rekindling of the relationship by, you know, with Mandy and Josh and all that kind of stuff.
And Josh,
but,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. But the truth of the matter is there's more chemistry happening between other characters, right? I mean, he and Donna's relationship is something that sometimes you can't really tell if it's flirtatious or if it's more, you know, sibling, like their brother and sister, but there's the chemistry between them is very, very good. The chemistry as they introduce Joey Lucas that goes back and forth with Josh and Joey Lucas is very good. And so I think that was just realized because when a West Wing fan talks about going to Mandyville, they're talking about just disappearing. And that's absolutely what happens as you move into season 2. And you'll notice this when you watch this, you know,
so you're telling me she's done? She's gone? It's over?
Poof.
They don't kill her off. They don't do anything. They just don't even address it.
Everybody
somewhere
dislikes,
else.
and again, it's the character, not the actress. Everybody disliked the character so much they just don't even utter her name anymore. It's like, or they might make a vague reference. I've heard somebody say they felt like there was a vague reference made to that she's gone, but and if we're honest, this is something that's not really surprising from the West Wing. You and I would have swore up and down at the end of the last episode this finale was going to be about the Sam and Lori storyline. This is going to be, it's going to be about
I would have
the political fallout. It's going to be about, and honestly, we go through this and it's not even mentioned. It's like, and I don't know.
Well, now I'm worried. Now, does Lori not come back? I don't know. What? But did Lori go to Mandyville? Apparently.
Well, obviously.
Don't tell me. Don't ruin that. You already ruined Mandy for me.
Oh, I didn't ruin Mandy. Right? Mandy ruined Mandy well before you and I had this conversation.
Right.
But, it's just kind of one of those funny kind of little insider things for people who love the West Wing and talk about it and all that kind of stuff. And that's why, again, I'm not going to spoil any future storylines or lack of storylines or whatever. We said we'd talk about it during the finale. And because of the way they did it and everything, and it made sense because we kind of see that a little bit. There are times when you really think, hey, this is something that's going to go on and on and on. And, but I will say this too. I enjoy the fact that Sorkin does a great job of planting seeds of things that happen in episodes. And then it's not like most of the time you think, oh, I'm going to plant a seed and I have to deal with it right away. Obviously that doesn't happen with Mandy. I'm telling you, it's poof. Mandy who? That's kind of what happens there. But there are other things where, he's not afraid. And I think as we go through the series, you'll probably see he's not afraid to let things sit on a shelf for a while. And I kind of enjoy that. I love getting to an episode and I'm like, oh, I remember about this. We kind of saw that in season 1 with the vice president, where you would expect this whole thing going down with the vice president would happen over 3 episodes in a row or whatever. But we literally would get an episode and then we'd get a few episodes that didn't deal with that at all. And then it would come up again and you kind of have that baggage from what happened in previous episodes. And to me, it lends a validity to the world that he's kind of creating with these people, because that's really how life is. Life it's not compartmentalized to where we deal with all this, sequentially and then whatever, but there are just things that, we revisit that pop back up in our life, all that kind of stuff. And I enjoy that to the way that Sorkin tells stories. He's not afraid to let something sit. And he doesn't necessarily have to go to it right away. And in fact, it makes me wonder, and this is just, again, it's me putting this out there. I'm wondering if he doesn't just put stuff in, and when he's struggling for a story, he kind of goes back and goes, what could I make a story? And he goes back, remember when I remember 5 episodes ago, this person said this or did this or referenced this. I'm going to riff off of that. I don't know if that's really what he's doing. But again, he's not afraid to let something hang there, and I enjoy that. I've enjoyed that through the entirety.
Yeah, that makes me think of MacDonald being in this episode. He was really strong in this episode. We didn't really bring him up, but he was
right. Fits.
Really good. I feel bad that I call him MacDonald.
Right. Well, Coming to America is a good movie. It's okay.
Such a great show.
Yeah, John Amos is the actor.
I've only got 2 more things I can go through quick. Are you done?
Yeah, just,
to watch the end of that, it's so captivating that they're pulling out the guns. You don't know what's going on. They're just like shooting randomly. And the episode ends, and then Zelda music. That is classic Zelda music at the end of the show.
Uh-huh.
It is, because it came on and I was like, what am I in Karaoke Village? What is going on? I just think that's kind of funny. The other thing that I definitely think is we have to talk about Josh and Danny. Both of them connected before they were ever on West Wing. Do you know what movie they were on together?
I don't.
No, you don't.
Okay.
I'll tell you what it was. Revenge of the Nerds 2.
Oh, really?
And this is where Josh is a heartthrob. He's the villain in Revenge of the Nerds 2. He's like the frat boy villain. Right. And Danny is Poindexter. He's Poindexter. Yeah. And then Poindexter obviously is in both Revenge of the Nerds. I didn't know that. I was like, I can see him like playing the violin, just just in Revenge of the Nerds. But anyway, I thought that was really funny. I thought I had to bring that up. Once I learned it about 2 or 3 episodes ago because Josh is the actor was on Colbert, I think, and he made fun of him being on Revenge of the Nerds too.
Yeah, I had no idea Bradley Whitford was in Revenge of the Nerds too, so I was never going to make that connection. But that is that's awesome.
Did you know Danny was Poindexter? I mean, that's an iconic character in film, I think.
No. But as soon as you said it, I looked back and went, "Oh, it makes sense." But yeah, it's not necessarily a connection that you jump to. At least that I didn't. So that's a cool little thing there. It's surprising that Whitford didn't play a nerd after watching him run next to the vice president. I mean, I'm sorry. I know I'm bringing it up again, but
it's hard to know which side he was on. Are you if he was getting revenge or not?
Are you jumping over a creek every step? Is that what you're doing? Wow, overstriding. Okay, yeah. So I mean, anything else at all for the filibuster? I mean, that you want to talk about specific to? I will say this.
No, I'm definitely done.
The storyline with Toby and his brother. Okay, literally, Toby is the communications director for the White House, and the brother is an astronaut who flies on a space shuttle. If you don't think the Zieglers are winning every PTA meeting that they ever went to, or, I mean, can you imagine being...
And his ex-wife's a congresswoman, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
they even marry well.
Yes. I mean, you call them power couple. I'm telling you power family, because like everybody is a big dog hanging with the Zieglers. So that was cool stuff.
But apparently they have a terrible memory. Like, how did he not remember his brothers in space?
I mean, rightly so. He's embarrassed about it. I mean, Okay, so that brings us to the end of the filibuster. Our next segment is the caucus. That's where Dan and I get to vote specifically on the episode. There are 3 responses we're allowed. We're allowed to say yay, meaning I love the episode. We are allowed to abstain, meaning maybe we were on the fence, or we can say nay, meaning that as an episode we didn't like it. This is specific just to the finale. That's what we're voting on. Dan, I'm going to let you go first.
I mean, I'm going to go yay, but I could have gone abstain. But I'm going to go yay.
Really? That's surprising.
I need to. That I would hesitate to even go abstain? Yeah, I don't know that I love the shooting thing at the end. The episode as a whole, yeah, it's pretty good. It makes me want to watch season 2, and I'm glad. But I don't know that it's such a cliffhanger. I'm trying to put myself back in like 2000. If I had watched this and been told I have to wait 4 or 5 months before it comes on, whatever the first episode comes on for season 2, I'm not sure I'm really worried about watching the first episode. So right. I give it a yay. It's fine.
Okay. Well, I mean,
not an enthusiastic yay. Sure. But what is yours?
I'm going to join you here. I'm going to say that this is a yay. Looking back on our show and how we reviewed season 1, I guess I didn't realize just how, I mean, you were so adamant about just knowing that Sam was going to have a blow up. This was coming. It was inevitable. Sam's a screw up. You remember, I mean, beginning of season 1, you were just waiting for everything Sam to do. And it wasn't until the middle of the season toward the end that Sam started having really strong episodes where he brought a lot, just to the team and those kind of things. I kind of had to, I had to be careful how I worded things and all that kind of stuff, because I knew that we were going to get to the finale, that it was going to come right on the heels of this blow up that you knew was coming with Sam, and it wasn't going to get addressed. So I'm happy to look at you and say, I'm not lying to you now. This was this was a very good episode. It's not up there with just the amazing season finales of certain shows that you think of, but I also don't think television was doing finales the way they do them now. I think it's hard to watch it in 2020, knowing it's a season finale and comparing it to other shows that just did great jobs with their season finales, whatever, and when you think of The Wire and whether you like Lost or not, and those kind of things, I can understand you not liking the shooting, but people usually don't like cliffhangers, right? I mean, they're frustrated because they don't know what the resolution to is what you're seeing, and that's kind of what I think you sense, what you sense there. But I'm with you. It was surprising. I think it's more about these characters that you love, and that's I forever am going to say, if one of the things that Sorkin's not the best at coming up with circumstances. They're not always the most compelling circumstances, but he does a great job of creating extremely compelling characters. And so even though the circumstances of this finale are compartmentalized, and it could be its own thing, it's happening to these characters that we have grown to either love or hate through season one. And that's that's where I'm landing on in being a yay, is that I just really like these guys. I want to know what's going to happen next because I'm invested in the characters, and I'm worried that one of these characters that I absolutely, really, really like is not going to be there. Is going to be hurt. Is going to be whatever. And so we'll figure that out as we go through season 2. With a very few exceptions, Dan,
at least it's Mandyville and not Tobyville, right?
Yes, that would be brutal.
If Toby doesn't show up in season 2, we're very upset.
If Toby didn't show up in season 2, we never start this series on the podcast. I can just tell you. I mean, you should be able to discern some of that, because if we start watching the credits, season 2, episode 1, we watch the credits, and there's no Richard Schiff. Oh man, did you read that wrong? I can't believe. I mean, unless something happened with the contractor. I mean, sometimes you see that happen with actors where they just don't, they don't want to continue on the show or whatever, and it's not the writer's fault. It's just, outside circumstances that do that kind of stuff. All right, so I mean, for all the hype that we had going into it, we both voted as a yay, but I think we're both kind of reserved. Interesting to see if they're able to take the momentum they've had with these characters and move that into season 2. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to take the momentum they've had with these characters and move that into season 2, and what your take's going to be on everything. Okay, that closes down the caucus. It brings us to our final section on the record. Throughout this episode, I've been trying to take clips or quotes. I've been trying to take quotes from the episode that we just watched and incorporate them in our normal conversation. And Dan tries and catches me as I do it. Okay, Dan. So what do you have?
Did good.
You did good. You did good today.
Did good. Did good. Something.
You did good today. I'm just saying, there's a way to be a person.
Yeah.
I was really offended too.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
And you did good today. I'm just saying there's a way to be a person.
I apologize.
Your apology's accepted.
Leo confronts Josh about that. And so once he tells him how offended he was and Josh apologizes, Leo says, "Hey, you did good at the meeting. There's just a way to be a person." I thought that was a cool little quote.
I'm sleeping fine tonight was
no, it's CJ
Bartlett,
when she was talking to Danny. She said she talked about lying to the press about the.
Oh yeah.
She's like, "I'm sleeping fine tonight."
There are only 50 people in the world who can't understand why I lied this morning, and they all work in the White House press room. I'm sleeping fine tonight.
And I also said, "Oh man, did you read that wrong?"
What are you doing?
It looked like you wanted to hug me.
Oh, man, did you read that wrong?
I really like that whole Leo and Josh interaction with that whole thing. I thought it was done well. And again, that kind of comes back to the fact that, Leo's kind of this South Side Chicago, working with these very sarcastic New Englanders. He just, that's kind of how they do life. It's one of those things where I think you can be rude and sarcastic to the people who know you well. You just, you wouldn't want to do it to strangers because they're just going to think you're an absolute jerk. So, but that seems to be kind of how they do life. Much like maybe how brothers go back and forth at each other. You and I can make fun of Sam all day long, but we're going to have issues with somebody else who wants to do it and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. So season 1, our next episode, we're going to talk more broader strokes about season 1 and then kind of the future of how we're going to do things moving forward here specifically on the show. Hopefully you'll come with us as we try and prove over and over and over again that hindsight's not always 20/20. This has been Rerun Retrospect.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Rerun Retrospect. If you'd like to connect with us, you may email us at rerunretrospect@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at Rerun Retrospect. We hope you'll join us for our next episode where we keep pulling big ideas off the small screen.